Family peer support means having someone to walk the journey with me.
We're not alone.
What family peer support means to me is hope. Hope and connection.
Being able to live in the present.
Being heard, being understood, and finding out that you're not alone. And having hope.
Hello, welcome to Montana's Peer Network Recovery Talks podcast. I'm Jim Hajny, Executive Director.
Hi, I am Beth Ayers, Family Peer Supporter.
And I am Kayla Myers, also a Family Peer Supporter.
Well, today, the three of us are going to be talking about something really exciting, long time coming. We're going to be talking about family peer support, certification, how that came about. But also, we're also talking about this new organization that has grown out of it. So I'm really excited about this, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in to find out more, because this is a big game changer in the state of Montana. So we're going to have family peer supporters. How exciting.
It is a game changer. It has been a long time coming and a lot of hard work from a lot of folks.
Yeah. I mean, the two of you made numerous trips to Helena and testimony and hearings and emails, and it's a lot of work along the way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably a good 3 years, I would say.
Yeah.
I think the process for me was really eye-opening to the fact that if you want change to be implemented in your state, the barriers and the roads you have to go down and the amount of times you have to show up and be heard and to be listened to is, it's change doesn't come easy. I think that was my biggest takeaway is, so now I will be careful with when I say things out loud, like, why can't this just be changed, or why can't this be different?
Right.
Yeah. Because
right.
it takes a lot. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can relate. I remember when I started the process for behavioral health peer support way back 2012, I thought it was going to take 6 months. That was what I had in my mind. I thought in 6 months, we're going to have certified peer supporters and funding and all that. And it took all the way till 2017.
Yeah. When I first started with Montana's Peer Network and I joined the task force, I remember them saying that we couldn't even go and talk to them about it until 2025. I was like, why? I had no concept of, them only meeting every 2 years. Yeah.
Right.
It was really eye-opening. I was like, that's a long time away. And
yeah. What do you do?
It went quick when you're in the trenches of it, though.
That's right. It is, right? You need all that time to do the work. So I'll give a little background, and then Beth, I'll turn it over to you. You have some slides, and you're gonna kind of walk through the process. I mean, 4 years ago now, I said 3, I think last time when we were talking, but you said, no, I think it's 4. You came to me and said, I remember you calling me and you said, hey, I want to do what you did for behavioral health peer supporters. I want to do that for families and have family peer support. And I remember being reluctant because I was like, we don't do family stuff here. Like, I don't have kids, and we're all about behavioral health peer support and the recovery movement. But Beth stayed with it. I mean, she kept calling and kept talking to me. And so then it was like, okay, let's call around. Let's figure out, well, what is going on? I didn't even know, like, the landscape of, children, family services, youth services. I didn't have any clue. And I don't know, how many did we call, Beth? We called a lot for like a year, right? We just kept.
Yeah, everyone we could find.
Yeah, I mean, we would call them, we would talk to them, we would pitch them. There was this funding available. We were even pitching the funding.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, you should do this and we'll help you do it. And every single person, as I recall, turned us down and just was like, nope, nope, that's not for us for this reason or that reason. And but along the way, I know for me, I was learning I was learning the landscape, but I was also, learning about you, Beth, and your dedication to it all. And so I think that's when I said, well, why don't you join the board
Hmm.
and become, a board member of Montana's Peer Network so you can start influencing the future and the strategic planning of what we're doing. And so we did that, right? We created the families division,
Yep.
and that really altered the organization because it expanded what we were doing. It widened that out. And you were on the board, what, about a year, I think?
Yeah, not quite a year.
Yeah, because then Beth was busy grabbing opportunities for funding
Yeah.
so that she could move from a board position to a staff position. And you did. You found funding, and we applied and got the funding, and that's where Kayla came along. And Kayla
Hmm.
was one of the family peer supporters we hired to run a pilot at the children's clinic in Billings.
Yep.
You guys want to share your just experience with that piece, just like working there at a clinic?
Yeah, so I hadn't provided family peer support in a clinic sort of atmosphere or really in a professional standard. It was more just so and so has a child, can you help them
Mhm.
kind of navigate the system. And so it was definitely more formal, and it was a lot of trying to advocate and educate for what family peer support is, for the support that a family needs when their child has a special health care or behavioral health challenge. It was working in a clinic alongside people that did very different things than what we did,
Mhm.
and really forming those relationships and really being able to see how us supporting the families really helped everybody else's job be a little bit easier and really help the family to communicate better and to really engage with treatment
Yeah,
also
yeah.
better.
How about for you, Kayla? How about for you working at?
Yeah, I think when I first heard about the position, when I was reading through like the description, I was like, what? This is a thing? Like this is a job. It didn't feel real, right? Something that I um had navigated, yeah, alone by myself in the scary times of my son's diagnosis. Not that it was scary necessarily, but it was just, I was just in the trenches of it. And I had to ask the hard questions. I had to think of the hard questions. I had to research and basically set out on that trail all by myself. And my needs just fell further in the back seat while Bryce's needs became more complex. And so yeah, I think I was like, sign me up. I can do this. This sounds amazing. And then I got into it and I forget just how like what that process was like for me. And so just while I know that I was a huge support to other families that I had the opportunity of working with and supporting, I needed that just as much as they did. That healing that came alongside of it also for me was like, wow, I can't believe, it's hard to look back and realize how far you have come in your journey. And I think it was really eye-opening, and it was just yeah, super rewarding to be able to use the things that I learned along the way, and be able to be offer encouragement or support, or linking families to services, or even just sometimes, most of the time, it's just being an ear for them to
Right,
get out everything that they haven't been able to say to anybody because they
right.
just either don't understand or they don't have the time to listen to them. And
Yeah,
so yeah, a lot of it was that, and I was all ears. So yeah.
yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want to give away any, I don't think I want to go any further in the story because you have this in the slides now, kind of picking up sort of from this point. So Beth, go ahead
I
and take
do.
it away. Are
I
you able
will
to
share my
share? Can you share your
screen.
screen there?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Get everybody out of the way. So I'm going to jump around a little bit from kind of what's happening right now, present, and then going back to kind of where we started. But this is really the development of family peer support in Montana. So we have, like Jim said, we created the families division at Montana's network. And as family peer support in Montana has grown, and as we have grown, we are needing to become our own family-run organization. And so we have branched off, or we're in the process of branching off. It's a long transition into Family Peers for Hope. And so Family Peers for Hope was founded in 2025 with a mission to lead the development and expansion of family peer support in Montana, providing hope, empowering families, building connections, and inspiring change. And we do this through training, consulting, technical assistance, and advocacy. So this goes into the background of how we went from Montana's Peer Networks Families Division to Family Peer for Hope. Like I said before, it is a newly formed family-run organization in Montana, led by Executive Director, myself, Beth Ayers, and an experienced board of directors consisting of parents and caregivers of children with behavioral health challenges and or special health care needs. And I want to stop there and just say that being surrounded by a group of like-minded families, like-minded parents and caregivers that have walked this journey has been really rewarding for me. I'm really enjoying this new part. So recognizing the need for an independent organization focused on creating a statewide family support network and developing the certified family peer support workforce, Family Peers for Hope was created to build upon the work that was started by Montana's Peer Network. Montana's network has been supporting parents and caregivers raising children with behavioral health challenges and or special health care needs since 2021 through advocacy, workforce development, education, and direct services. MPN created a families division in 2022 to further these efforts. In the last 4 years, MPN has successfully formed and facilitated the Montana Family Peer Support Task Force, which developed professional standards for the family peer support workforce. It ran a family peer support pilot project, providing statewide family peer support services and collecting data that was used by Montana's governor in 2024 to allocate funding to the family peer support programs. And it also created a statewide family membership, which provides community connections and support to parents and caregivers. And we worked with legislatures on House Bill 76 to create state certification for family peer support, which was signed into law this last May 2025. Family Peers for Hope will continue the work that MPN's Families Division began, supporting parents and caregivers raising children with behavioral health challenges and or special health care needs, and developing the certified family peer support workforce. So as you can see in that, a lot of work has been done and a lot of work will continue. So this kind of goes over the development of family peer support in Montana. Like Jim had mentioned, when we called around to the other family-run organizations, what we found was, number one, that everybody was doing kind of their own thing. They each had their own specific population that they were working with. They kind of had what they were doing. They didn't really want to take on the workforce development for family peer supporters. And they also didn't really know about each other either. There wasn't like you couldn't pull up on the computer, a list of family-run organizations in Montana. So there was some communication, organization that also needed to happen. So we created the Family Action Committee, which then led into, in April of 2022, the Families Division. We formed the Montana Family Peer Support Task Force and Steering Committee, which met regularly for a year to form the professional standards for family peer support. This is what we were going to take to legislation and say, this is what a family peer supporter looks like. These are their professional standards, their training that they need, all of that. In December 2022, that's when we started the demonstration project at Children's Clinic and other locations across Montana, actually supporting families. In July of 2023, the Children, Families, Health and Human Services Interim Committee proposed family peer support for their work plan. So this is where the legislation process really began for us. We went up in January of we went up to in January of 2024 and did a caregiver panel for family peer support to the interim committee and really talked about what is family peer support, what are the benefits, why should they look at having a certification for this. We also, in the meantime, developed a provider training so that clinics or providers that wanted to hire family peer supporters kind of knew what it was and how to integrate them into the clinical setting. That was something that I think Kayla and I realized working in a clinic was that a lot of the people didn't know what we did or how to use our services. Another key to family peer support in Montana was in January of 2024. The Behavioral Health Systems for Future Generations Commission held a family and caregiver support panel. And from this, they used the data that we had collected through the pilot project, and they funded $700,000 to go towards behavioral health family peer support pilot projects, which are currently underway here in Montana. The bill gained traction in the interim committee, and in January 2025, House Bill 76 was passed through the House Human Services Committee and the House. This slide doesn't do justice in the roller coaster that was taken with the bill. It got voted no in the Senate committee, and we thought it was over. And then it got blasted back into the Senate. It got approved through the Senate and then eventually went to Governor Gianforte's desk, and he did sign it into law in May of 2025, creating certified family peer support for Montana. And then, as I said before, the creation of Family Peers for Hope is happening, and development of family peer support workforce and training will continue. So really quickly getting into House Bill 76, this created state certification for family peer support specialists under the Board of Behavioral Health. Like I said, it was signed into law May 13th of 2025, and it will become effective October 1st of this year. The two things that it defines is what is family peer support and then who can be a family peer supporter. So House Bill 76 defines family peer support as the use of personal experience as the parent, guardian, or caregiver of a child under 21 years of age with significant physical, developmental, or behavioral needs to provide support, mentoring, guidance, and advocacy to parents, guardians, and caregivers of children with those same similar needs. Family peer supporters also need to be under the supervision of a mental health professional, which we call clinical supervision, in an amount, duration, a scope appropriate to the setting and demonstrated competency and experience of the peer support specialist. So again, some training that needs to be involved. So a family peer supporter has to be an applicant for certification as a family peer support specialist must, number one, have personal experience as the parent, guardian, or caregiver of a child under 21 years of age with significant physical, developmental, or behavioral health needs. And the reason that it's under 21 is that the child serving system and the adult serving systems are two separate systems in Montana. And so even though our children grow and they're still our children, and I'm assuming that adult family peer support will follow, right now we're just focusing with families with children under 21. So those of us that provide that support have to have had that experience. And then also have successfully completed an approved program in family peer support. So we have to complete a training that they provide, that they approve. So what does state certification mean for the workforce? Why was this so important for us to go spend 3 years trying to get legislation passed? It really gives us a professional standards. It gives us a common code of ethics, scope of practice, training standards. When I approached Jim, it was because I had developed a pilot project to go into the psychiatric center, and I couldn't find any general training for a family peer supporter. And I thought, okay, so I can go in and I can do this pilot project, but how am I going to hire people, or how are people going to, help these families after me without any sort of professional standards in place? It also gives us accountability. It holds us to a code of ethics. It also gives us clinical supervision so that we can take care of ourselves, so that we can be accountable for our own health and our own wellness. Doing this work can be very triggering and can be very re-traumatizing at times. And so we really need to take care of ourselves. And so that adds that accountability for us too. Sustainable funding. So with certification comes sustainable funding. Medicaid reimbursement is hopefully coming in the 2027 legislature. It also gives us that credibility for funding. Workforce expansion, it allows us to really develop the workforce and to expand it. All of us, I'm sure, have provided family peer support on our own time. But as parents and caregivers, we also need to take care of our families financially. And so it gives us the ability to do that. And it also fills in the holes where traditional healthcare workers are in short supply. And so really helps kind of fill in those gaps. Increased service availability. I think everybody I've talked to has said, I wish I had had a family peer supporter when I was walking through that. So with funding and with certification, that allows us to go into more providers and more situations where we can help families. It gives us a professional community. It gives us as family peer supporters a group and a place to work with, to support each other, learn from each other. And it opens up career path opportunities. So we've seen in the behavioral health peer support world that there are career paths that include peer support supervisors, and kind of gives us the ability to not just have a part-time job, but to really make a career out of this. So how will certification work? Family peer support specialists will be certified by the Montana's Board of Behavioral Health. After successfully completing an approved training, the application and fee will be submitted to the board for approval, just like behavioral health peer supporters in Montana. And again, where can certified family peer support specialists work? Really anywhere children with behavioral health challenges and or special health care needs and their families are served. My long-term vision has always been that a family peer supporter will be wherever children and families are being served in Montana. And that can include pediatric clinics, hospitals, psychiatric centers, residential treatment, physical, occupational, speech, ABA therapy clinics, family drop-in centers, genetic programs, and schools. So pretty much everywhere. So as we look at the new organization, there's really 3 parts to this workforce development that I've kind of taken a hold of and kind of developed over the last 3 or 4 years. And it's really, I guess, how I see it is I see it as the three components. One is the workforce, family peer supporters. So in order to have workforce development, we need to have training and professional development for the certified family peer support specialists. And how Family Peers for Hope will be involved in this is that we have the curriculum for family peer supporters for certification. Once that gets approved through the Board of Behavioral Health, we will have that available. And then just extra trainings and professional developments. Montana's network currently has a virtual learning platform that has tons of courses for peer supporters and for families and caregivers. And then just really offering that support, that professional community for them. The other aspect is the providers, a place for a family peer supporter to work. So being able to educate and train providers on the benefits of family peer support, on how to hire and supervise family peer support specialists, on implementing family peer support services. Family peer support in Montana is fairly new and isn't widely used or accessed. And so providers don't know how to integrate a family peer supporter into their team. And so really helping them do that and just putting the word out there about, if you don't have a family peer supporter, you should. And here's, why. When we collected the data for the pilot project, we found that 87% of the families that we worked with after talking to us as a family peer supporter felt that their child's care had improved. Well, we don't work with the child, and so it just shows that having a family peer supporter there providing support emotionally, physically, helps them give better care to their child and helps them feel like the professionals around them are also giving better care for their child. So it really adds a benefit not only to the families, but also to the providers, the hospitals, the clinics. And so we will be doing that as Family Peers for Hope. We will be out there at conventions and conferences and talking to people about, what is family peer support. And then creating sustainable funding. We can have the providers that want to hire family peer supporters, and we can have the certified family peer supporters trained and ready, but without any way to have sustainable funding, then none of us will be working. So creating sustainable funding for certified family peer support specialists and family peer support services. Currently, most programs run off of grants, and grants come and go and programs shut down, and that really leaves everybody without the support that they need. So creating that sustainable funding through reimbursement, through Medicaid, through grants, through possible funds that the state can put aside for family peer support, that's really also what we're going to be working on, having those conversations. So that's all I had for the presentation for the slideshow. This is our contact info, phone number, email. We do have a website, familypeersforhope.org. And then I will stop sharing so that we can ask and answer some questions.
Well, thanks, Beth.
Yeah.
That was great. That was really good. A lot of work went into the development of everything. I mean, it's amazing, that one slide with the timeline, and it just sort of snakes around and around. And I seem to remember it at one time was a little bit shorter, and
Yes.
it just keeps adding and adding and adding, right?
Yes.
And it's still not over, right? Because
No.
like you said, in 2 years, there's going to be a bill for Medicaid funding for family peer support. So it's this never-ending journey, but
It is.
that's why Family Peers for Hope has been formed, right?
Yes.
Somebody's got to do this work, just like MPN does the work in the behavioral health field. And every session, every legislative session since we formed, I've been a part of, and we've brought different bills to help behavioral health peer supporters. And I would imagine you and Kayla will be doing the same thing every session. There'll be another piece to add, to build to add on, to keep that workforce piece going.
Yeah, we'll be following in your footsteps. So
Yeah.
as long as you
Well,
guys keep going, we will keep following.
you're blazing a whole new trail, really. And for both of you, I mean, it's, you are blazing a new trail. You're the leaders in this first generation of family peer supporters. You were it, just like I was in the first generation of behavioral health peer supporters. And now the people that we're training, they're in that second generation, and it looks a little different, and it's growing and evolving. And yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, really, I think a place for families to connect, to get in touch with people, to learn about family peer support. And you mentioned a piece I'd like to hear more about, which is there's all these other organizations. So what are they doing around, families and youth? So what's their focus, and how is that different than
Mhm.
Family Peers for Hope?
Yeah, so all of the ones that we have talked to and worked with provide direct services to families. So they're out there actually doing family peer support work with families, whether that's over the phone, in person, virtual. Like I said, they all have their own little population target, whether that's, complex medical care needs or needs within the child's education and school, whether it's physical disabilities. So they're all serving kind of their own population of children and families. The one thing that we couldn't find, and this is why we're creating this organization, is to be that organization that does the training, the advocacy, the workforce development, that helps support the companies and the organizations that are providing the family peer support.
And you expect certification should be going in October 1, 2025, between then and
Yeah.
January 1, maybe.
Right. The
Maybe a
bill
little bit
states
of a
that,
window.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
learn something new every step of the way. I have never done anything that whole chart showed beforehand. And so currently they are making it, once House Bill 76 is signed into law, then they have to make the administrative rules for that. So all of the, what is the scope of practice, what is the training standards, so all of that. So the Board of Behavioral Health,
Yeah, the code. Yeah.
the state is creating that has to go through a public comment process. That will be in effect October 1st, according to the bill. And then the Board of Behavioral Health will start approving training curriculums at their November meeting. So yes, we're probably looking at December, January for training to actually happen.
For the first class. And the two of you are going to teach the first class.
Yes, so Kayla and I will be
Gonna be out.
facilitating. We have been,
Yeah.
we have been doing trainings together for a while, and it has been really fun. And Kayla is an amazing trainer and facilitator. I think I kind of bring the executive director role, kind of that big picture, overarching stuff. And Kayla really brings that human, this is what it's like, sort of brings it down to earth. And so I think we're a good team.
Thanks.
Kayla, are you
I'm
looking forward to-
Beth grounds me, and I'm a little I think big, and then Beth's like, how are we going to do that? And I'm like, oh yeah, let's kind of come up with a plan, figure it out. Yeah.
So I know one of the things with behavioral health peer support that was really a buzz during this same time period was who is going to be the first family peer supporter or behavioral health peer supporter in the state. So I wonder if that's going to happen here with family peer supporters. The same thing. It was really a big deal. We had our conference that year, and this was the buzz going around. Everybody was, because it was a written application back then, and everybody had their application because the Board of Behavioral Health presented at our conference. So everybody had their application in hand and they were talking to the staff, trying to get them to take their application and say yes and approve them. Of course, it didn't happen at the conference, but this was a real issue. Like, who's going to be first? Who's going to be first? You know, and then it was like a few weeks after that, a bunch of them started coming out, you know, and getting certified.
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody has talked about that.
Not yet.
No, it kind of makes me feel like I want to be the first, though,
Yeah.
actually.
I would think you were Kayla. I mean, I would think, you know, one of the two of you probably, but you never
Although I
know,
don't
'cause-
know how to
I know,
pass
can
an
we-
exam and a test that I created. I don't know
I was
how
gonna
that
say.
works.
Well, no, but both of you already took a family peer support training.
That is true, we did, and I don't know if they're going to grandfather in those or not.
You took the organ. So they did with behavioral health peer supporters. So those
Okay.
of us that took training previously get grandfathered in.
So Beth, you hand yours
Actually,
first
it
and I'll
said
be second.
Okay.
Yeah,
Deal? Deal.
Yeah.
So
they
who's gonna be the third? That should be the big buzz. 'Cause
Yeah.
Beth and I already have 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you got to
Beth.
get right on it. You got to be the first in there so you can have that designation. It's the number on your certificate, you know. No, that's great. A lot of great work. And so for the listener, I would encourage you to click on the Family Peers for Hope website and go check that out, because we don't know at what point in the future you're going to be watching this. And so there'll be other developments. This is just as of August 2025. And if you're interested in becoming a family peer supporter, you're going to get in touch. You're going to email the organization and they're going to walk you through. And then hopefully you go on to become a family peer supporter and these will be your instructors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be excited to
Anything
do that
else?
too.
I was
What's
going to
that?
ask Kayla. Kayla, when you started working as a family peer supporter and you kind of started understanding, you know, what the future of it held in Montana, what do you see? Like, what do you hope to see in the future?
Yeah, I think kind of like to piggyback off of what you said, you know, I think when you're navigating those waters by yourself and you feel like you're in your like little lonely boat, you know, floating down the, I guess, river in Montana, that'd be, you know, you don't really have the capacity to like think about others when you feel like you're drowning or like just trying to stay afloat. And so now that I'm like I will always be on my journey with Bryce. And so I'm still out there too. But once I'm a little bit more separated from like the trenches of it, right? And, you know, have found a sense of wellness within our family and what fits our needs with his diagnosis and kind of the aftermath is kind of, you know, taken care of. I now I'm able to see kind of that bigger scope of, I think every family that walks into a doctor's office, a therapy clinic, a counseling appointment, a school, I mean, like that list said, I think we could go on and on and on. I feel like anytime something, you know, we shouldn't let families get into a state of crisis or into this desperation. That's when we see, you know, really, really bad, in my opinion, I think really horrific, you know, details that we've heard from families about the state that they're now in, when like 10 steps before that, they could have had somebody navigating and walking alongside them to, you know, to not get to a place of crisis. So I think, you know, when I really think about family care support, I think it can work through all the stages and all the steps of, you know, pre-intervention, intervention, crisis. You know, we can work with families on all of wherever they're at. But I don't think that we should let families in Montana get to a state of crisis before we're offering a hand to them. I think that we should be offering a hand to them at the very beginning. Like, hey, I'm seeing this with my child. It's scary. Here's a family peer supporter. You know, I don't think we should be letting it get to a place of quote unquote crisis. Because I think crisis can start way up here, and we're calling crisis something that's, you know, they're in the trenches of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why trenches is my word this podcast.
We should have a podcast.
I always have a word.
Word
I
is
don't
a
know.
podcast.
When I listen back to things, I'm always like, why was that the word that I really, yeah.
I
So,
think that's, yeah, I mean, that's well said. I mean, it's the same for behavioral health peer support. I mean, peer support is a preventative service is what it is, right? And that's the whole thing is really we want to be reaching people before
yeah.
you're in the emergency room or in a psych center or in jail.
Yeah.
Before everything totally falls apart. So, yeah.
Or yeah, I mean, to give them that chance before it gets to a place of, quote unquote disaster or chaos or, grief or, I don't understand why, it has to get so bad before like help is ever offered.
Yeah.
Or before like all the alarms and bells have sounded, like people have to get to that point to where like either CPS is involved or there's been documentation or school calls. Like, why can't we offer that at the beginning? And I think family peer support and peer support is the tool that should be offered and can be offered now for both.
Yep.
For both. So
Agreed.
It's exciting.
Yep. All right. Well, I want to say thank you to both of you for taking the time. And I know you're going to do great things and, we'll keep working together, obviously, in the future. But I know you're just going to do great things because I know when MPN started, it was scary and we were small and it was me and, and then you just keep building it and you just keep growing and growing. And I know you're going to do great things. Just the work you've done already has changed the system across Montana. And there's just so many more wonderful things to come. So both of you keep up the good work.
Thanks, Jim.
Listeners, thank you for tuning in. Please check out our other podcasts on a variety of topics around recovery and mental health and peer support. And we'll catch you next time. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
What family peer support means to me is being the person that I wish that I would have had when I was walking a very lonely and isolating road.